and made the repertory grid technique accessible by publishing the manual, again with Von Bannister. Then in 1981, we've heard it, Fay resigned from academia and founded a private institute, the Center for Personal Construct Psychology in London, joined by Peggy Dalton, Helen Jones, Gavin Durnett and others. This was, at first glance, an absolutely unlikely move from a career perspective. So why this? Now, establishing new paradigms. Let me refer to the situation in my native Germany. Inquiring Man appeared in German in 1981, 10 years after the original. And the German editors wrote in the foreword that Kelly's reception hitherto had been reduced to footnotes such as "See also Kelly in 1955." Basically, this has not changed since. And Kelly is mostly known in standard psychology curricula as an early cognitive personality theorist, and the repertory grid as an interesting but obsolete, all too cumbersome diagnostic tool. And it's probably similar in many other countries. Of course, there is an abundant literature about how new paradigms in science gain momentum. And Bob Niemeyer has explored the early development of PCP, unfortunately only up to 1985, about the first half of its history. In my simplified personal view, for a theory to become prominent, at least 3 requirements need to be fulfilled. First of all, obviously, the convincing elaboration and the brilliance of the theory itself. This is, of course, Kelly 1955 and Kelly 1969, the collection of papers edited by Brandon Marr. Secondly, you need people who take it up, develop it further, spread the word, proselytize, create a community, and stand for the new discipline as their living incorporators, including taking risks with respect to their own academic reputation. Here's a photo that Bob Niemeyer was going to show, I think. And you may recognize Han Bonarius and Fay04 in the front row, then Franz Epting and Don Bannister, behind them Finn Schulte, and to the right Mrs. Gladys Kelly, Dr. Kelly's wife, then Al Landfield and Jim Mancuso, and in the background Melamea. To make it easier for you, here's another version. Some are no longer with us, some have changed. And thirdly, the circumstances have to be favorable. The time must be right, the spirit and the culture of the era must be supportive of the new ideas. And here lies the center, as I see it, the fundamental importance of Fay's decision to resign from her position in academia and found the Center for PCP. It was a courageous, clear-sighted, far-sighted move, and an economic risk. The theory was available, the people, some of them charismatic personalities, were there, and now the environment had to be created. Maybe the revolutionary spirit of the 70s contributed its share too. Here's a photo of the house in 132 Warwick Way in central London, where Fay and her husband lived, as we have heard in the upper story about the center's premises, as it looks now, courtesy of Google Street View. And we've seen this photo too, some of the people who helped launch the center. Apparently, Fay and her like-minded colleagues realized that PCP adepts needed to receive something beyond intellectual satisfaction and personal growth. Quite simply, something to make a living out of. So they set out to devise a curriculum that would match the requirement of the nascent British psychotherapy scene and their accreditation bodies. This was to be a full-time job, hence the personal involvement, the house, the institute, the students, the trainees. As a result, PCP psychotherapy was recognized by the British Council of Psychotherapy, in my view, a grandiose achievement and an unparalleled success story. Numerous individuals have attended the center's courses since. Later, a distance education program was added to provide training to people outside the British metropolis. And today, the Personal Construct Psychology Association, PCPA, organizes PCP training as well. Soon after the foundation of the center, with its clinical focus, a second pillar was erected that was pivotal in extending the range of application of PCP and establishing PCP. By setting up a strand of organizational psychology in the curriculum, the center reacted to an important demand from society, originally impersonated by the head of training of British Airways, and met these demands using PCT concepts. Today, many practitioners who trained at the center work self-employed outside academic institutions as consultants with companies, institutions, etc. Thus, Fay and the center included non-psychologists in the range of applicators. And as we have heard today, Nick Reed and David Winter are maintaining that tradition at the center. It should be mentioned that a third stream emerged that was devoted to the introduction of PCP ideas in education, mainly connected with the names of Phil Salmon and later Maureen Pope and Pamela Nicolo. Today, these ideas have been implemented in several other countries, notably in Italy and Serbia, where PCP, under the umbrella of constructivist therapy, has been recognized officially, and training centers have been set up thanks to Gabriele Chiari, Massimo Giliberto, Dusan Stoyanov, and others, with Fay actively supporting these projects. So here personal content theory seems to be alive and well, thanks to Fay and her comrades in arms. Now, constructivism. But I've always wondered why PCP has not become popular in its country of origin, given Kelly's role in the development of the discipline of clinical psychology in its early stages in the United States. There is Larry Leitner's domain of experiential personal construct therapy, but I do not know of PC therapy being established in the way it is in the UK, Italy, or Serbia. Certainly there are constructivist or narrative therapies around, but they do not seem to be grounded in George Alexander Kelly's work. The International Journal of PCP, founded by Bob and Greg Niemeyer in 1988, changed its name to Journal of Constructivist Psychology in 1994, and the North American Personal Construct Network, NAPCN, affectionately pronounced NAPKIN, became the Constructivist Psychology Network a few years ago. And many scholars now tend to view personal construct theory as just one member of an extended family of constructivist approaches. As in many families, there are darlings and black sheep, and even more pitiable, wallflowers that some family members don't even know of, let alone talk to. As an internet urban dictionary defines a wallflower, the type of loner, seemingly shy folks who no one really knows, often some of the most interesting people if one actually talks to them. This seems to be the position of PCP, judging from its representation in many constructivist publications that cite not even in the reference Kelly 1955. Now, this view, this development, we've heard that, and this situation are absolutely in contrast to what Fay04 thought it should be, as she has put in words many times. And as we are celebrating the life and work of Fay04, I think we should consider what she might have thought to be unfinished business. It has been attempted to link this situation to cultural differences between ways of thinking in North America and Britain, and by extension in Europe and Australia. But I'm not going to elaborate further on this issue because a lot has been written about this, well, schism. And at the present conference, this has been an issue too. Now, spreading the word. In a message to me, Fay wrote in 2009, "My whole PCP life has been about spreading the word, really following in Don's footsteps," Don Bannister, that is. After 4 decades in PCP, Fay finally laid the encyclopedic groundwork with the help of 45 colleagues when she published the handbook, the International Handbook of PCP in 2003. The defining work of PCP at the beginning of the new millennium. Another magnum opus nearly 50 years after the original one. However, in my view, the number of people potentially exposed to PCP through the printed word is utterly limited, given the number of copies printed of scholarly books and journals. Fay was aware of the potential of the internet, and I think this is the road to take to accomplish the goals she has outlined. Some of the entries in the Internet Encyclopedia